This is Hannibal here from the Hannibal TV on YouTube with a wrestling news update and Saturday night's main event, the second edition results. Apparently, I did listen to Dave Meltzer's Wrestling Observer radio show today. Even though Hulk Hogan has been advertised for this thing for weeks and is currently under a 5-year contract, making a lot of money for WWE and is in a beer partnership with WWE. He backed out of appearing on this Saturday night's main event, even though he was the main person being advertised for it for weeks now, due to apparently his son Nick is suddenly getting married. And I will agree with Meltzer on this that I know it's interesting if he is getting married, but like at one point your dad is booked for like a big show on a major network, and he's the feature star. Could you just move this wedding like a day or move it around a bit? But again, I haven't seen any pictures of this wedding or not. Who knows? We know Hogan tends to bend the truth sometimes. Apparently, for the people that are saying it's because his daughter Brooke recently had twins, apparently he's been estranged from Brooke for a while now, according to the Wrestling Observer. Anyways, that's the gossip about Hulk Hogan, who definitely was not there. Some of the legends that were there was Jesse Ventura. A lot of people think Hogan um, Hogan backing out caused Jesse Ventura to be added because he wasn't advertised at all before the time came real close for them to announce Hogan was out, even though technically he's supposed to be at all the shows. But there's been massive heat between those two for decades. So again, who knows the real reason? That to me, that's still the most interesting part about the show. It had a cool look to it. I watched the highlights on YouTube, read the main results of it. Ted DiBiase was in attendance as well as Tully Blanchard, Arn Anderson, Jim Duggan, and Dory Funk Jr. So nice that they're getting paydays now. The results are Rhea Ripley beat Nia Jax to retain her title. Braun Strowman beat Jacob Fatu by DQ. Braun Breaker retained the IC title over Sheamus. This is okay. First of all, and by the way, Mike, I will get into your question in a second. But as far as this whole Kevin Owens versus Cody Rhodes storyline, months ago or last month during the first Saturday night main event, I thought it was a lame match. No one thought Kevin was going to beat Cody. He didn't beat Cody. Then apparently they had already agreed to a match at the Royal Rumble. Supposedly a contract had already been signed, but there's supposed to be some type of an amendment. So they were doing another contract signing tonight on Saturday night's main event with Shawn Michaels overseeing it. And I guess the only point of this was to have the 59-year-old Shawn Michaels. And I'm this was cool to see. I mean, Shawn Michaels is from Texas, but no one really thinks Kevin is already going to beat Cody. Now we have the 59-year-old Shawn Michaels knocking out Kevin Owens with the super kick. How does that make me want to watch Cody against Kevin anymore in the Royal Rumble? I hope that somehow I don't even like Kevin Owens as a wrestler, but I hope he at least wins that match. I think there's zero chance of him beating Cody for that title. I really do. But now they've just had a 59-year-old beat him up. So what about that segment makes me think anymore that I should have to watch this match because something might change in the finish and Kevin might actually win? I don't know. I'll end my rant there. For the third title match where there was no change, for the second WWE World title, which I'm not a fan of, And by the way, Cody Rhodes beat Gunther clean in a title champion versus champion match not too long ago. Gunther beat Jey Uso to retain. And that's about it for the actual show. In other wrestling news, as I said, I listened to the Wrestling Observer Radio today. Thank you, John. Oh, and just to answer your question quickly, Mike, for Rick Martel doing a toy deal, I think this is only speculation, but in the recent pictures I've seen of Martel, who was known as the model, his physical appearance has changed a lot in the past few years, and I believe that's why he's keeping a low profile. A toy will probably reflect his old image. I don't know if that's the real reason why he stopped doing appearances and interviews in recent years or not, but I suspect that might be why. That's my answer to you, Mike, as to why. I mean, and I'm not hating on bald people by any stretch, but he's gone bald, and he doesn't look at all like the model anymore. Maybe that will change, and he'll get some stuff done and start appearing again. Who knows? Tito Santana told me he didn't know the reason either. But yeah. Money talks. I know he also saved his money well, but if he's offered enough money, I'm sure he'd do something. As far as WWE switching to Netflix, it has helped their attendance at recent tapings. They don't really do live events anymore, other than for very special occasions or overseas tours, but it's helped attendance at tapings. That, and probably that they don't do live events anymore, so more people travel to see their shows, because instead of, at one point they were doing three shows a night, now they do 2 shows a week. So less shows, more people traveling, but overall less crowds with less shows. Maybe the percentage of people going to shows is bigger, but obviously when you're doing only 2 shows a week compared to when they used to do 3 shows a night, it's a lot less people overall. But the reason I'm bringing that up is Netflix. Since they've been on Netflix, it has boosted their crowds. But AEW is now also airing on the Max streaming service. It has had zero positive effect on their attendance. Their attendance has not been increasing. Apparently, they're still also giving away a lot of tickets, and they are not revealing their max numbers. People believe they are not revealing their max numbers because they are not that impressive. Apparently, for Lashley and Shelton Benjamin, who recently defeated Private Party in pretty much a squash match, Meltzer brought up that Private Party was squashed because they never really got over from their title reign. It wasn't really a strong title reign. None of the AEW titles are really over, to be honest with you. Apparently, also for their Australia show that initially started off in a big stadium and is now apparently in an old or very old arena that was considered old when WCW ran it in 2000 and doesn't have a great pre-sale. Apparently, it's turning into more of basically a collision taping than a pay-per-view with only 2 matches announced. They are, and apparently the reason Meltzer does not understand the reason that Tony Khan is refusing to release the talent, asking for their releases that are not being used, because there's really no benefit to Khan to hold them, because it doesn't make him look good, and it does really nothing holding them under contract, because let's face it, none of these guys are going to be the next Roman Reigns that he's holding under contract. I mean, they're going to make very little difference other than some initial buzz when they first jump over, and it's not a good public image thing. You're welcome, Mike. The Ragu Overlord said it was a letdown. I don't think I'll ever watch a full of show again because it gets very frustrating. But the trick that I've learned is on YouTube, I pay for the premium. I don't have to watch the advertising, and I can just watch the parts that I read are worth watching. So I don't get that annoyed. For instance, the Fatu beating of Braun Strowman that led to his disqualification was pretty good because I'm happy that Fatu is getting a push because unlike a lot of these AEW guys that are making huge money that don't deserve it, that aren't over and didn't pay their dues to get those contracts, Jacob Fatu paid his dues to get his WWE contract and deserves his push. So I'm really happy to see that. They used blood. It appeared to be on YouTube from the mouth of Braun Strowman. They didn't seem to get a close shot of it. Very likely could have been a capsule. I really don't know. But it seemed to have been planned. Did I know that Andre the Giant would bring his Princess Bride movie for every tour to watch in his hotel room? Lanny Poffo does bend the truth a lot, guys. I can tell. I can. All wrestlers do. I'll even admit I'll exaggerate stories sometimes, but overall, I don't. I don't completely make up stories, and neither does Lanny. Doesn't completely make up stories usually, but I wouldn't. I would find it hard to believe that he really watches the Princess Bride over and over and over again. I heard he was very proud of it. I'll be honest, I never liked The Princess Bride either as a kid up till now, and I usually like movies that wrestlers are in it. I just never saw what was so great about The Princess Bride, but a lot of people like John do like it, and everyone has their own taste. Mike Piper's doing well. She does not like the cold, and as she gets older, it's her birthday next month. She's turning 15. She likes the cold less and less and less. But thanks for asking. Have a great night, and let me know what you thought of Saturday night's main event in the comments.